We are live. This episode is that one with the coffee,
Yeah.
but the like intro where it was playing like this action movie music.
In this episode, like, I would feel so bad for Carl because, like, that teacher like so horrible to him.
Dude, I know. I thought it was mean that like like the principal was like had a vendetta and gave like
Yeah.
a rap sheet to all the teachers so that even like the teacher that really liked Ginger was like against him.
And I feel like that episode also helps cement Lois as, like, a god tier, like, mom. In any other show, if a
Mhm.
character told that to their mom, they'd be like, the teacher doesn't have it in for you. Like,
I
that's a really
know.
serious accusation.
I know they
But
wouldn't
Lois is
believe it.
like, no, like, I'm fucking going down
I
there.
know she's like, I'm taking off work. I'm gonna go yell at Carl's teachers. Do you need me to go yell at your teachers, Ginger? Because I'm more than happy to. It's like Lois Foutley might actually just be like the greatest mom that exists in all realities.
Lois is just like the greatest woman to ever exist. The rest of us women wish we could be like
I
a
know.
tenth of as cool as she is.
She's literally the like the blueprint. I wish that like if I had kids, ew. But if for some reason I did, I would like watch the show as an instruction manual on how to be a mom, but I would also, if I had girls, I would make them watch it and be like, this is how it should be.
Grow into a Courtney or a Macy, though, not a
Mhm.
Ginger.
Yeah, Ginger, I know we were saying it wasn't until later episodes that she gets like really annoying, but she already is making like shitty decisions in this one. Like she's already
Yeah.
developed a drug addiction and it's like the first day of school.
When I said that she gets bad, or like she's bad at the last two episodes, I think the last two episodes are when she finally is like past Dodie bad.
Yeah,
But she's kind of like a shitty like person this whole
I
like
know.
half of the season.
Like, okay, the teacher doesn't like you. Like, just get over it. But she like makes it her whole identity, just like keeps trying to like prove the teacher wrong. And then
Yeah.
gets this drug addiction, falls asleep, like sleeps in and then falls asleep in class. And then later gets detention.
Ginger must not like usually drink caffeine. So it's like you go from not drinking caffeine to drinking like 6 fucking coffees a day.
Like Ginger can never try cigarettes because she would get cancer like right away. I thought it was mean to when Ginger was like laying in her bed like coming down like having her caffeine withdrawals and she said she was listening to Carl talk about how like the teachers told him he was going to die and they all hated him. I was like
Yeah.
expecting her to decide to go to the school or at least to Ms. Zorsky and be like, "Hey, my brother's not that bad. Stop hating him." But she was just like, and it made me think about me and my problems.
One thing that I also find kind of annoying is when they're like, "Oh, isn't it hypocritical for you to tell Ginger she can't drink caffeine when like
Oh
you drink
yeah.
coffee?" And Lois is like, "Yeah, I'm an adult."
She's literally like an adult who has impulse control. She has a frontal lobe. Like she works, she's a nurse. Like that
Yeah.
coffee, I remember the commercial had like side effect listings. It was like you may experience like a dry mouth and an itchy face. I was like this is actually
Yeah.
drugs. Regular coffee doesn't come with a list of side effects. To segue into the next one because Ginger's incredibly bad ability to manage her caffeine addiction gets her detention, which is like girl, all you had to do was stay awake. That was it. Have you ever gotten
Yep.
detention?
No, actually, I don't think I have.
I got lunch detention twice. So I'm a little bit cooler than you.
Actually, now that you mention it, I might have got lunch detention once because my
Ooh.
friend, we went, I think we had to go back to my friend's house during lunch so she could pick up something, and then her car fucking broke down.
Oh my god.
So we were like 5 or 10 minutes late for our
Uh-huh.
next period. And my school had this really stupid rule that like any tardy, no matter like how little it was coming back from lunch, you had to get like a lunch detention.
That's
Yeah.
lame.
So One thing I will say about this show is like the high school episodes I think are a little bit more depressing than the
Yeah.
middle school ones. But I actually like that because I don't think high school is as great as fucking like most TV shows make it seem like it is.
Oh my God. High
And
school
maybe it was just
sucks.
me. But yeah, I was gonna say I like people are always like, oh, I miss like being a teenager. I miss being in high school. I'm like, I fucking don't. Like, I am glad I'm like 30.
I always remember like people would say like these are the best years of your lives, enjoy them, and I remember just like being super depressed in like a class that I hated and like I couldn't drive and I'm like this is the greatest year of my life.
This is the greatest day of our lives.
These Oh my God, I was like should I just die? Because this sucks. Like is it all over? I was literally like, should I just like not even go to college and live on the streets? Because if this is as good as it gets, like I don't need to experience anything else.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm a lot happier now than I was when I was in fucking high school.
Same.
But I don't think, to get back to your detention thing,
Oh yeah.
I don't think in real life I know. I mean, I guess I only really went to the like one school, but I don't think I ever heard of like Saturday detention. I
Yeah.
think shows always fucking do that just because of Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I was like, is this because of Breakfast Club that this is a thing? Because Bob's Burgers did it too, and that was like a Breakfast
Yeah,
Club episode. I always remember at school it would be like, oh, like we can't keep you past like 4:20 or whatever it was. So
yeah.
I feel like if they could only keep you certain days, like I can't imagine anyone wants to be there on Saturday.
Well, I was also just gonna say like Degrassi also had the like weekend detention thing, but that was also like a Breakfast Club parody.
But this is when
Yeah.
Ginger started to annoy me because I didn't get why she couldn't just be like, Darren, sorry I got detention, and I also like don't really care about football anyway, you know?
Yeah, well, like, and also Star brought up, um, he's like, instead of having Dodie go to the game, why didn't Dodie just go to detention for
Oh,
Ginger?
oh my God, yeah,
And
why didn't they just do that? I thought it was funny. Okay, it pissed me off that like Dodie went and she was in her idiot disguise and it was obvious that it was obvious that no one thought it was Ginger. It's this girl and she's like, "Oh, I'll wear my ginger wig and he'll think that I'm you." And it's like it's not normal for your friend to have like a wig that makes them look like you. Here's
yeah,
Dodie pretending to be Ginger in her room. Nobody dug into that any further. So when they saw that Darren knew right away, like they should have just played it off like, "Oh, I just could have like covered for her a little bit." It could have just been like,
yeah.
"Oh, Ginger couldn't come, and so I just thought it would be funny to dress up as I don't know."
I don't get why, like, you want him to think that you're Ginger. Why are you screaming at
Like I know Darren is kind of stupid, but like he can definitely tell who his girlfriend is and isn't.
Macy's like, this is gonna work. And
Yeah.
then Chet's like, hi Macy, hi Tony.
That's exactly the picture that I just put up on the stream.
Yeah, Ginger like is not like a very good friend or girlfriend because she's not supportive of like Dodie being a pep squad or
Yeah.
Darren being on the football team.
Ginger has consistently been this like writing artsy fartsy girl. And it's like that's fine, like that's great for you, but like we're all still 13 years old or whatever. Like we weren't all born knowing what we want to do. You can't be mad that Dodie is like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I think I want to channel my annoying manic energy into something where that's actually a good quality."
Like nobody handles anything good. You know, yeah, they're all 14, so of course they're like stupid.
Yeah.
But it's like they don't handle it right because yeah, Ginger could have been like, you know, Darren, like I think like there's something wrong between us and
Yeah.
I have detention and I I don't really want to go to the football game, but I know you want me to go, so I would if I could, but I can't.
I know. Sarah knows Ginger. Like, why does he think she would even want to go to a football game? Like, she made him go to that Renaissance fair. No one is doing the right thing. Even Macy, oh my God, Macy wanting to break up with her boyfriend and just putting it in an announcement during the football game for the principal to read was like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Also, I would like to point out that, again, Lois is like a great mom in this episode, because if I had a kid and I had to fucking get up early on a Saturday
Oh my
to go
God.
bring them to detention, I would be fucking pissed.
Oh,
I would
I
not
would be
cool
so
with
pissed.
it.
And then Lois is like, it's not a problem, but like if I have to do this next week, then we'll have to talk. And then Ginger gets detention again. That Orion guy was like, okay, like I'm gonna help you sneak out of detention, but if he catches you sneaking out, like you're fucked. And she was like, bet. And then she didn't even, there was no sense of urgency. There was no sneakiness. She just literally walked down the hall and stood at the entrance of the school staring.
This is, as you pointed out, this is the episode where we meet Orion,
Yes.
who is probably the best one out of Ginger's love interests, but I think he's way too good for her.
He's way too good for her. Like, he's cute, like, for this cartoon. He also kind of looks like he's 35, but
Yeah.
I'll let that go. And he can sing, and he plays an instrument.
He's got the bags under his eyes.
Yeah, that's why. You know my type. I saw those baggy old man eyes, and I was like, this is a babe. Look at how tired he looks. No, he's just way too cool for her. Like, when she gets into detention and she's like, I'm Ginger. Like, this isn't a support group. And then she's like writing a song in detention.
Gone out with Courtney.
He is perfect for Courtney. Ugh. It's not fair that Courtney was in like no episodes, and then the episodes she was in, like, are we not supposed to like Courtney or something? Because they're like, nothing good happens to her. And I really think like if Dodie hadn't been like, Darren, you obviously don't like Ginger anymore, like you guys have to break up, I think he just would have kept dating her forever. Like, he's so weak-minded.
Well, what's the etiquette on, like, Simone's like asking Darren out? I'm like, what's the etiquette on if you ask somebody out who has a girlfriend? I'm like, I don't think she knows he has a girlfriend.
No, she didn't know. But this is totally like when Dodie starts to be a human being and not like a walking fucking garbage can.
Like, by the way she talks, I don't think she knew.
No.
And when Dodie's like, well, you know, the person I would really know is Ginger, like, she looked confused, and then she's like, oh yeah, they're
neighbors.
It's like, I wonder who fucking told her that. She probably asked Darren, who's that redheaded girl I see you with? And he was probably like, oh, she's just my neighbor.
Oh, such a fuck boy, actually.
Yeah, if Dodie didn't write him that letter and saying, like, you have to tell Ginger, like, he probably would have just kept dating both of them because he's a fuckboy. Like, he's ignoring Ginger during, like, he doesn't even fucking sit with her during lunch anymore. He's like, I gotta go sit with the football players, and then fucking goes to the cheerleader table.
I know. I know.
Like, he's ignoring her, like, outside of school. Like, Ginger has to call Dodie and be like, have you, like, talked to Darren because he hasn't called me?
Red flags.
Like, he's, like, flirting with Simone. He's like hanging out with her all the time, like sitting there fucking telling Dodie like how Simone's the greatest girl ever.
I know.
Like, that's not fucking weird.
I know. He was like, isn't Simone amazing? And Dodie's like, what the fuck? But then, I know this is the next episode, but the way that he broke up with her, like, you guys, I thought he was gonna sit her down and be like, hey, like, I'm sure you've felt the same way. Like, we're drifting apart. We're into different things. I think we need to just, like, take a break. And, like, I've met someone who likes the same things I like. And I know there's other guys who like your weird shit more than I do. I feel like he should have said that. But instead, she was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see you. And he was like, Ginger, it's over. Like, screamed at her. Like, that was the worst breakup I've ever seen.
Yeah, I also think how he dealt with the whole, like, drifting apart from Ginger and liking Simone was wrong. And yes, Ginger was also, like, handled that badly. He might as well have just fucking been like, I fucking hate you now, and
I
Simone's
know.
hot.
That would have been better, actually. I was thinking about like when Simone was asking like what's Darren's favorite everything, and Dodie was like, you should ask Ginger. Like it kind of is not her place to say like Ginger is his girl. I mean, I guess she could, but like really it should be Darren telling her like I actually have a girlfriend, but I'm in the midst of breaking up with her because we don't even like each other. If I were Simone, I would hate Dodie because Dodie is such a fucking tryhard with the pep squad thing. The pep squad coach lady was wrong for it. Like she's kind of right. Like you can't be that desperate because people are going to think like something's wrong with you. She's trying to teach Dodie
Yeah.
a lesson there. I found this picture of Darren crying trying to write Ginger a breakup letter or something. I don't know how he went from like writing out a letter to just like grabbing her and yelling at her. I was actually really surprised how sad Ginger was that they broke up. But a lot of shows don't show boys being emotional, and I think it's
Yeah.
nice that they show that Darren is like really struggling to form a thought basically, and it's like it's causing him to have strong emotion.
I don't know if we're still on this episode or if we moved on to the
Oh,
breakup episode.
I
But the one where Dodie's writing the letter, they have the like thing where they're at the game and Ginger's like fucking reading a book.
I know.
I don't know. I guess I don't know either way. Like like I said, Ginger kind of starts being annoying in this half of the season,
Mhm.
and Simone's cool. But I can say that I would at least handle breaking up with Ginger better than
Totally.
Darren did.
Star said you don't have to be into the same things and like it's important to have separate hobbies, but I think it's also important to respect each other's hobbies, and Ginger does not respect Darren's hobby. Like she actively thinks it's stupid. Oh, this is the one where Ginger has her appendix problem.
This is kind of skipping ahead to the end of the episode, but Lois she's like being hard on herself and like, oh my god, like what if I wasn't home? She should be proud of herself that she is a good enough mom
Mhm.
that fucking Ginger's friends. Because Lois only went to check on her because Dodie and Macy, before they left, were like, oh, Darren just broke up with Ginger and she's not handling it well. So she went to
Yeah.
check on her. Like, if that was fucking Dodie'd be fucking dead because Ginger and Macy are not telling Dodie's mom shit.
You're so right. And you know what else? Like even if they did tell her, Dodie's mom would have been like, "Oh my god, get over it. You're being so dumb." And would have like left her in the room.
Yeah.
Have you seen Sense and Sensibility?
Yes, I have. I've also read the book.
Same. I love Jane Austen. But I thought it was at first I thought it was that thing like when Marianne or whatever her name is like so heartbroken by Willoughby that she just like gives herself like the flu or something, and she's just so sick and she's like gonna die. I was like, oh my god, is this like that? Like is she so heartbroken that she's like dying? But then it was like actually a real issue and not just emotions.
Yeah. She's at the hospital. Darren shows up there. Doesn't go to her room like he's in the like gift shop or whatever with Simone, but it's like you just fucking broke up with Ginger
I
and you're
know.
gonna show up there with your new fucking girlfriend.
Simone was like, you know what, I think you need to do this by yourself, which is true. But then he was like,
Yeah.
wait, what are you talking about, babe? And then he just like throws the card in the trash and leaves with her.
Yeah.
I was like, this is, I mean, I know it's like you said, they are like 12, but like, you should still go see her. Like, just don't bring your new girlfriend with you. It's really easy.
Yeah.
I'm still going to talk, but I'm going to get more drink while I talk. We don't
Good.
need a be right back screen. But yeah, I didn't get like why they couldn't find middle ground between like, should my new girlfriend come with me while my ex girlfriend lies dying in her hospital bed? And I just won't go see my ex-girlfriend at all. Like, how was there not a solution in between that they could think of?
Also, I feel like because by this point, how she's talking, she had to have found out like Darren broke up with Jim. I feel like if I were Simone, I'd be like, well, I liked you because I thought you were mature, and now I'm kind of seeing that you're not.
Oh, what a good point.
And like, I get he's stressed out, but I don't really get why he was so like angry at somebody
Yeah.
to give him suggestions. Like, maybe we should get her flowers. Like, we can't get her flowers. That's like too romantic.
Oh, yeah, and then she was like, okay, well, then maybe get her chocolates. And he was like, she just had stomach surgery, Simone.
And also, I guess it's in the same episode, but I guess it's not really related to the Simone thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I find the part where they like show Lois in the waiting room when Ginger's like singing that song.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
have like the flash. It's so sad. Like, I feel so bad for Lois.
Me too. This show like takes me out of my cynicism and makes me imagine what it would be like to be a mom or something. Because of Lois, because I like Lois so much. And it's like so gross, but like Lois is sitting there and I was like, my first feeling was like, okay, well, if Ginger dies, she dies, like whatever. But then I was like, well, I guess if I was Lois and I like gave birth to her and like watched her be a baby and stuff, like I would feel pretty bad. Like and then although like when it was showing baby Ginger, I was like,
Yeah.
ew.
And then it like transitions to like Ginger's, like, I don't know if it was like fantasy or dream
Oh yeah,
or
like her
whatever.
flash forward, like her vision into the future or something.
Yeah. And she sees that ad that says like wanted Ginger Fowley.
Opinionated, wonderful.
Yeah, like all the fucking things like
Yeah.
Darren said about her. They also have like the little thing with the girl from
Oh yeah, from her
10 years
story.
before. Yeah.
That girl that creeps me the fuck out. I saw her. I was like, oh, she's back.
And there's also Hoodsie reading his like romance novel.
Oh my god, I love Hoodsy so much. When Orion was like saying that shit to her or whatever, and then Hoodsy was just like watching from outside, and he's like, he totally made her murmur. Like, I love how Hoodsy has this newfound passion for like romance novels.
Yeah. I also like when he was reading it to Carl, and Carl's like sitting there like picking at
I
it.
know. I know.
Isn't Tawny just another way to say tan? And round, what other shape do shoulders come
I
in?
know. Like, they're not closed off to anything. Like, you would think, like, the average, like, 14-year-old or whatever teenage boy would be like, oh my god, dude, why are you reading that? But instead, Carl is, like, actively listening and a little skeptical. Hoodsy, like, reading it to Ginger is so cute. Dodie comes into the hospital and asks all the questions you're not supposed to ask. Like, she's like, oh my god, did you almost die? And then she's like, ew, are you gonna have a huge scar? Like, Lois, the only thing that Lois has ever done that I didn't like was when she referred to Jonas as the man of the hour.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, Dr. Dave just performed intense surgery, like, on the drop of a hat and, like, saved Ginger's life.
I'm going to chalk it up to she's like stressed out about her kid.
Mm-hmm.
She's just fucking happy like Jonas actually showed up for fucking once.
I know.
And C, like she probably knows that Jonas is one of those people that you have to like praise,
Mm-hmm. Like a
or
dog.
they're like, yeah, or they're gonna be like, oh well, I didn't get praised for doing this one good thing in my life. I'm gonna leave now.
You're so right. I'm so glad that Carl is consistently sticking up for Dr. Dave because I don't feel like
Yeah.
anyone else is.
Dr. Dave is also god tier.
So god tier.
I like when Carl like shows up and he's like, "Did you save her life?" And he's like, "Yeah, you should probably go in there." And then Carl's like, "No, I'm just gonna stay out here with you for a
I
while."
love
Then
that.
like
That was
holds
so
his hand.
cute. Carl is so awesome. That episode actually made me tear up a few times, and that was one moment where I was like, that's really sweet. Oh, it's so gross. I I also really hated that like Dr. Dave clearly felt awkward. He was like, I'm just gonna go talk to the guy and like let him know that like I don't have any issues with him. He's like, "Oh, you got sunflowers. Like those are Ginger's favorites." And Jonas is like, "I know." It's like, "But you don't know. Like
Yeah.
you only just found that out."
I know, I was just gonna say that he was like fucking rude to Dave.
I think Carl was ready to like jump in and be like, "Listen up, bitch." The next episode is when she fakes her broken leg. And it's
Yeah.
also when Ginger goes back to school, and I really loved like when Macy sees her and she's like, ugh, because Ginger looks like shit.
I don't want to say like Jody like faked her injuries because like she had like an entire group of girls following her.
That's
She probably
true.
got some sort of injury. The fact that she like exaggerated
I
it.
know.
Like, oh my god, I can't walk ever again. Then everybody's like sucking up to her. And then when she gets like when she finally comes clean, and then like everybody's like mean to her
I know.
except for fucking Simone.
Because Simone
because
is the nicest person. At the end of it, I was like, maybe she shouldn't have come clean. Maybe she should have just been like, hey, I had a really fast recovery. Because I don't think it really helped her at all.
yeah. I do want to point out that in this episode, Ginger's teacher's like, nobody cares about your appendix. On the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that's like a mean thing for a teacher to say, but on the other hand, I'm like, Ginger's like fucked around how much in this class? Like,
I
she's
know.
skipped it, she's been late, she's
She
like
fell
fallen asleep
asleep.
during it. Like, after a while, like, you don't get
I
like.
know. I just know that that teacher is like, of course this bitch's appendix burst. Like, it's always something with this one, you know? Like, also she
Yeah.
like burst into that teacher's class and like screamed at her. Like, that was a really bad first impression. She was like, oh my god, Miss Sorsky. And the teacher's like, who the fuck are you?
I don't know if I have anything else from this episode other than I kind of wish that this episode was before
Yeah.
the whole like Letter and Ginger breakup, because if it was before, then Dodie would kind of be like getting better, but it's like she starts getting better,
Yeah.
then she gets worse again,
I
and then she
know.
gets better.
The way that she acted when she wrote that letter was such a good character developing moment. Like she really came into herself. And then she took that whole step backwards and pretended to break her leg. So
Like, she's not great in the next episode. You could like explain that away with like she's friends with Simone
mhm.
and like Darren, so it's like she kind of feels caught between like her friends.
I'm not like a football-y. I wasn't into football as a high schooler, but I feel like having stain-resistant
Yeah.
uniforms would be a really nice thing for them.
But like at the same time, I also think schools I've been to like do think like arts are like the
Mhm.
lowest fucking thing. So
It's
I do
true.
kind of see Ginger's point. But at the same time, it's like it's hard to side with her because you know she's only doing it to like
I
fight with Darren.
know. I know.
Because Macy's like, I don't care.
I know. She was like, "Yeah, maybe I am just mad at Darren." And it's like, "Yeah, you definitely are just mad at Darren." Like you ne- Ginger, for someone who's so like artistic and like such a writer, and so much of what she does is concerned with emotions, like she's really bad at like understanding and acknowledging her own emotions. I thought it was really chill of Orion. Like, it was so cool of him to get that involved because I would never. Like, I would be like, okay, like, that's cool that you care this much. I don't care. Like, but he was tabling with her. He had signs, and then she was pissed off at him for having a smoothie. Like, do you not understand the concept of free food and how meaningful that is when you're a teenager and young adult? Like,
Yeah.
when I was in college and high school, if some like full blown like Mormon was like, "Do you want a free smoothie?" I would have been like, "Yeah."
I
If-
mean, I might do that today.
yeah. Honestly, yeah.
This is like one of 2 episodes with Courtney in it, and they're like so
Mhm.
horrible to her.
I know it was so unfair. Like, not only did they put her in the trash can, but then she goes into her porta potty, and Carl and Hoodsy like mistakenly push her down the entire field. I was like, she's gonna get so hurt. Like, and then everyone is
Yeah.
laughing at her. Oh, it was so heartbreaking.
To go with our theory of her and Carl end up together,
Mhm.
maybe this is how they start like connecting. Like he
Yes.
feels bad because like Kevin Hoodsey did what? And
Yeah.
he could have felt bad that like he did that to her and then like apologized, and maybe they like start connecting and like become friends.
Oh, and then I want that to happen. I thought it was also really funny that so Carl and Hoodsy are like on the field, and then Hoodsy accidentally catches the ball and the ref like blows the whistle to signal the end of the play, and it's like he's not even on the team. Like, I don't really get like how they end up getting back together, because even though I think Darren is dumb, like if I were Darren and I saw that, I would have been so irritated. Like, I can't imagine being like, that's the woman I'm gonna marry. Like,
I think that brings us to the Thanksgiving episode.
oh my God. So when she said to Lois, like, I want to invite someone, can it be a surprise? I literally thought that she meant Orion. Like, I thought she was going to be like, surprise, I've moved on and I have a new boyfriend. It didn't even occur to me that she was going to invite her mom's ex-husband to
Yeah,
Thanksgiving. Like, what the fuck?
this is when she goes full, like, blows past Dodie into being like one of the worst people on the show.
Literally. Like, so inconsiderate. And Lois even said, like, sometimes there's other feelings to consider besides your own. And I was like, there's nothing
Yep.
else to say. I couldn't believe she didn't even think about how her mom or her brother would feel, or how Dr. Dave would feel about having this annoying ex-husband man at your intimate family gathering.
Yeah, well then even Dodie, because
Mm-hmm.
she's telling Dodie when Dodie first gets there, like, oh, my dad's coming. I didn't tell like my mom or Carl, and Dodie's like, are you sure that's like a good idea? Like, how's your mom gonna feel
Mm-hmm.
with her first Thanksgiving with Dr. Dave and her
Exactly.
ex-husband shows up?
Her first Thanksgiving with her new man, and her ex-husband shows up, and Dodie was even like, look, my mom is dying. Like, my mom is a crazy woman. Like, maybe we shouldn't be here. I just couldn't believe Ginger in that moment. You're supposed to be the
Yeah.
person who's so in touch with like feelings, and you're completely disregarding like everyone's everyone's feeling. And then she was fighting with Carl too. I was like, Carl is
Yeah.
correct.
I was gonna say I'm totally team Carl on this.
Mhm.
And like I even like at the beginning when she's like, "Oh, look at this platter. Do you recognize it?" And Carl's like, "No."
Oh, she said like we're his family, like he's supposed to be here, and Carl was like, if he's supposed to be here, he should have never left. The fact that he even had to be invited instead of reaching out to Lois and be
Yeah.
like, hey, I would love to spend Thanksgiving with you guys if that's okay with
Yeah.
you.
He doesn't even want to. Like Ginger's the one that wants him to be there.
Or you could do with like what everyone else does and have a separate day. Like you have a
Yeah.
Friendsgiving day and then you have a fucking family Thanksgiving day. Like do that. And that's why I hate the holidays.
To bring up like in season 1 when her dad sends her that like graduation card and she wants to invite him to the arts fair.
Oh yeah.
And she's like talking to Lois about it. Lois is like, "Well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, you and Carl have to decide how much you want him
Mhm.
in your life."
Yeah.
And Ginger decides she's gonna force Carl because Carl, rightfully so, because he abandoned them like right after Carl was
I
born.
know.
Like, he's like, I have this new stepdad who's great. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, and Dr. Dave is so attentive and interested in like being there for Carl, and he's never experienced that before, and I don't get how Ginger doesn't appreciate that like Carl has literally never had a father figure, and now he has one, and you're trying to
Yeah.
undermine him because you have this fucking nostalgia moment for your dumb, ugly, stupid fuckboy deadbeat dad.
Well, that, like, Carl calls Dr. Dave dad, and then
Mhm.
Ginger, like, starts fucking, like, ripping him a new one, being like, how dare you say that in front of dad? Like, you embarrassed him. Like, and then also, fuck Jonas for having the nerve to make fun of Lois, the
I
greatest woman to ever exist, right after nights him,
and
and says Lois is cool with it, even though realistically she's not, but Jonas thinks she is, and then he's just like, oh, I'm gonna make fun of her. Like, fuck you, dude.
and in front of Ginger. Oh my god, you don't want to see how many fucking tabs I have open right now. I didn't like that even Dr. Dave was like, Carl, like, give Jonas a chance. I was like, no,
Oh.
Jonas is a garbage man.
I also like how Jonas is like making fun of Dave's mom, who totally fucking deserves it for being a
Mhm.
bitch to Lois, and
Mhm.
Carl still like defends
I
her.
know. He's like, that's our grandma. This is a good segue into the next one, though, because as much as Carl's or Dave's mom is horrible, I was not expecting it to be her who was doing this like cloak and dagger plot to break them up. That was a twist that I did not see coming. And you know what? There
Yeah.
aren't a lot of shows that execute a twist well. Like there's so many times when you know like okay, I fucking know what's going to happen. Like Game of
Yeah.
Thrones can't do a twist. So fucking
Yeah.
predictable. As Told by Ginger does a twist better than Game of Thrones. I was like, who is this? Who's doing this? It was the fucking mom. Like,
When I rewatched that the other day and Star was watching with me
uh-huh.
and Buzz showed up, he was like, oh god, this guy. And I'm like, he's sadly not even the worst one in this
I
episode.
know. When Noelle did her like triple quadruple backflip and took off the blonde wig, and it was like, oh, I knew it. She's a brunette. I was like, whoa. But then she took off the brunette wig, and that was another twist that I was not expecting. And Buzz was like, ooh, and sat down. But like that got me. I wasn't expecting her to
Yeah.
be a balding man.
At that point, Star was like, "Is this episode problematic now?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "I mean, I don't think it's that problematic."
Oh, I loved Dr. Dave's like bold speech at the end where he was like, I will never let my mom or her gray-haired like agents of evil or whatever, like whatever he said.
Yeah.
Like, that was so funny. I love Dr. Dave. He's so dramatic.
When when he's telling Lois about for their honeymoon.
I know, in Omaha. Lois, this is another reason Lois is amazing because she wasn't even mad. If my fiance was like, we're honeymooning in Omaha, I would have been like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I don't need a big honeymoon, but like, Omaha, come on.
Star was very upset that they did not mention that Omaha has a great zoo there,
Oh
apparently.
my god. No, these episodes were annoying me because I didn't like that Ginger was like leading Orion on. Like, Orion's so too good for her, and he was so chill. And I'm like, he deserves to know, like, where he stands. And,
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
Yeah.
just the whole thing. I was not a Ginger fan. I was like, just leave this man alone.
And then yet again, Dodie has fucking good advice for her. Like, do you guys think I'm unreasonably trusting? And she's like, well, I mean, your dad did abandon your family
I
when you
know.
were 3, and your boyfriend just cheated on you. Although I do think she brought up Sasha, because even though she was technically the other woman
Mhm.
in the whole Sasha thing. She
Yeah,
was
that's
unaware of it,
true.
so she was still, like, screwed over by that, like,
That's a
I
good
think it needs
point.
to be mentioned that, like, all the guys in her life up until this point fucking suck. It's reasonable for you to be untrusting. And then, like, her and Mason are like, but maybe you should, like, try
Yeah.
to move on. Taking Lois's, like, advice out of context, because Lois is like, just because Darren screwed you over, like, you shouldn't, like,
Yeah.
expect all of men to be bad. It's like, Ginger's like, well, I'm never gonna get married because all men suck. And then she's like, you're being,
I
like, you
know.
can't say all men suck.
I know Lois was
Because
like, "Listen, you're 12. Like, you've literally never even met a man." Ginger goes through all of this, and it seems like it's like, okay, this is just like the character development that everyone goes through. But then she goes right back to fucking Darren. Like, ugh,
yeah.
why? Why?
Well, and then Ryan has, like, his song, like, you don't really
Mhm.
want to be with me, so you should just, like, leave.
Poor Orion. It's not right.
And it's like, well, actually, I do want to be with you. And I gotta point out here, like, Stars, like, saying Aaron should have never broke up with Ginger
Uh-huh.
is kind of valid because, like, he broke up with Ginger, like, 6 minutes ago, and he's already, like,
Yeah.
I'm over
I
Simone,
thought
like,
that
I miss
too.
Ginger. So it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have broke up with Ginger.
I
I'm
think what
actually not that into Simone.
I think what was going on was I think it was similar to when Ginger was like wondering if she was into Sasha. It was like I think Darren was
Yeah.
just a little bored in the relationship and Ginger wasn't paying attention to him and Simone was and he was like, "Oh, maybe I like Simone because Darren is stupid." So he doesn't reflect the way Ginger was reflecting. He was just like, "Oh, maybe me like Simone."
If I feel like Simone, if he had been like, my family was invited to Ginger's wedding,
Yeah.
but since like her and I just broke up and her and I aren't in a great place, I don't think you should come with me. I think Simone would have understood.
Completely.
But instead, he's just like, oh no, I gotta go get like spinal.
I know, what the fuck was that? Like you literally are playing football and you're trying to tell me that you have like a spinal injury like and then she had to go to Miranda. She was like,
Yeah.
I caught Darren in a lie and I think it's about Ginger and since you're like versed in both subjects and Miranda's like lying and Ginger and Simone is like, no, Darren and Ginger. And Miranda's disappointed. I'm like, I love that Miranda just really wants to be known for being a fantastic liar.
Speaking of Miranda, her like thing when she was telling Ginger about how, oh, after her
Oh
mom
yeah.
marries Dave, like her life's gonna be ruined. Miranda likes to fuck with Ginger because she knows it's so easy. Because if you tell
Yeah.
Ginger anything, even if it's the most ridiculous, impossible thing, she
She'll
believes it.
spiral. Yep. And she did. She was like, Carl, aren't you freaked out about moving into a nicer house and having a good dad? And Carl was like, no.
No, just call me Carl.
I know. I have to end in like a minute, but yeah, the last thing I'm gonna say is just like grown up Carl and grown up Hoodsy make me so happy. Look how wealthy they
Yeah.
look. Aw. Grown up Darren makes me want to throw up.
Even though Dodie does mature in these last few episodes, I'm
Mhm.
still sad that Chet ends up with her.
I know. Chet is so much. He could do so much better.
I do think because they're sitting by each other that Hoodsy and Macy end up together.
Yes. Yeah, they're next to each other. And
And you,
okay, his leg is crossed towards her, which
yeah,
yeah, means something. I saw that on a TV show.
Carl did not end up with Courtney.
Well, so what I think, like, look how he's got a headset. I think we know that Courtney is always also on the phone. I think that Courtney
Yeah.
is on a trip, and I think they were on. Courtney's on a business trip or she's on vacation, and Carl had a business trip in town, and he was like, I'm just gonna stop by Ginger's reading, and I'll have you on the line so that you can listen to it. That's what I think is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say is happening.
How cute are Dave and
I
Lois in the
know.
back?
They're so adorable. And Jonas is not here, by the way.
Yep. Couldn't even be bothered to show up to his daughter's fucking book reading.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out and talking about Ginger. This was the last Ginger stream. Ah.